Do any of us actually know anything about cars?
I don't know. Maybe we should just talk about cars tonight in general.
You're listening to the Bent Motorsports Podcast with the owner of Bent Motorsports, David Beckett, and his crew, Jacob Hunsinger, James Hernandez, and Jake Russo. Listen in as the guys discuss all things motorsports, including tech tips and current shop projects.
Guys, welcome to the Bent Motorsports Podcast. We're going to talk about cars and all things motorsports related.
One thing that I've noticed...
It already says that during the intro.
Oh, well, then why did Jake tell me to do it again?
I think because he's an asshat.
What a dick. You're a dick.
That's what I try for. One thing
Is your
that,
middle name Richard?
Richard?
Yeah. Oh, man, speaking of Richard Hammond, you guys see the Grand Tour? It's not on anymore. That what they did their last show?
What?
It's done.
Why?
It sucked.
Hey, maybe sit closer to the mic, Jake.
Yeah, you
Why?
idiot.
I mean, what is this, your first fucking
time?
podcast?
Golly.
Suck it up a little closer there. Pretend like it's your boyfriend.
You
Let's
got
make this
it.
happen.
Whoa.
Newer.
There you go.
There you go.
Sometimes I drool.
Rare form tonight, James. Look out.
Yeah.
I know, apparently.
So, James, I know that you've noticed this before as well. You notice how rich people treat their cars differently than normal people do?
It is hilarious that you're saying this to me right now.
Why did something happen today?
Stop recording.
Was that all that happened?
Yeah, pretty much.
Was there more though? I want
Yes.
more.
Sit up.
Nope, that was it.
I like it.
I was just really pissed off about it.
That would
Yeah.
piss me off.
I was just like, that's
that. You pissed me
ridiculous.
off.
The precedent that sets, or the precedent that has in somebody's mind that that's the way it is like ridiculous.
Dude, it's funny though because I've never had a problem with Greg. Like, always been very cool.
We're
like,
recording again.
Seriously, you're literally the fucking worst podcaster on the planet.
Yeah. Shit, dude, you gotta tell
Hey,
me.
everybody. Welcome back to the Bent Motorsports Podcast. Let's crank it up, guys. What are we going to talk about this week?
We're talking about cars.
Cars.
I think we're just going to talk about
Cars.
cars in general. I don't know if we need to have anything super specific. Is there anything you guys have been dealing with lately that you're learning something new about cars, and maybe you had an epiphany or something like a penny dropped in your head about something?
We're going to talk about blown head gaskets.
Yeah, so I know that James has been learning a lot this last week about engines and engine repair.
I have never broken into the top end below the heads or the bottom end above the oil pickup, basically, of a vehicle, and I've done both in the past month. And let me tell you, everybody, it's 1 1/2 biatches.
Well, especially with you're doing it in the car. You didn't pull the engine, right?
No engine pulling because I'm doing it out of my backyard. I'm a
Shade tree mechanic.
I'm a
bro.
shade tree mechanic. I'm not succumbing to this silly do it in the shop nonsense, you bunch of posers.
Well, this is how we all learned.
Yeah, right.
I was a shade tree mechanic for like the first 20 years of being a mechanic, so it's all good. That's how you get good at this shit.
Well, let me tell you, my knuckles hurt
Good.
and
Is
my
it-
back hurts.
You'll be
And the way you work on a Chevy is by basically crawling into the engine bay and straddling it like it owns you,
Yep.
and just letting it.
Hoping you
have
grab
its
the
way
right
with
size
you.
wrench.
Yeah,
I don't want to get down one more time.
exactly.
Even though there's like 20,000 more times after that you got to get down.
Totally,
yeah.
it's hilarious. I did do something smart. I pulled the hood, by the way.
Yeah,
Anybody?
no, that's a good move.
And
Good
then
move.
also, my friend John's stepfather, Sean, he has a sweet old Tahoe, and he's working on it. And I noticed that he took the tires off, and I was like, why do you take the tires off that thing? Because it drops the front, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it drops the front a whole, foot. And you're like, wow, that is ingenious.
A lot lower. You get a lot less crime running around.
What do you
I've learned how to talk today.
Yeah.
Just
climbing
now.
around on those fenders and stuff.
Good job, David.
Yeah, I talk.
There's a fine line though between like too low and too high. Like
Yeah.
if it's too low, then you're like really laying over the side of the thing. If it's too high, you're climbing all over it. So
Yeah.
there is a happy medium, I think.
That is true.
Basically, this week I've been,
I'll allow it.
because I didn't know if I should redeck the heads. Sorry, resurface the heads. I was almost certain I wouldn't have to redeck the block because
Right.
but it's all cast iron. I called my buddy. He said that the heads have already been
surfaced last time he did this job, which makes me raise my eyebrows. I'm like, how long ago was that?
And why did it blow?
2 years maximum?
So one of two things happened, right? One, they really didn't get resurfaced, and the head gasket blew again, or he didn't install the heads right,
I'm going to go with that one.
and then that's what fucked it up. And on your situation, because you're just going to get this thing and turn it and burn it and sell it and move on to the other project, right?
Don't make it sound so heartless. I'm trying to make sure whoever buys it gets a good truck.
Yeah, but fuck them. They get what they get, right? Buyer beware.
Got 'em.
So you're gonna do what you got, and I've done it in the past too. When I had my Bronco back in the day, I mean, there's nothing wrong with on a budget. I mean, we've all done this too. I guarantee everybody out there has needed a brake job, has gone down to Craig and her Pep Boys and
Pad
bought the
slap.
$12.99 shitty pads and just slapped new pads on old rotors. Okay.
I'm literally about to do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah. See, so I mean, everybody does the budget workaround stuff, and in this situation, it's get a new head gasket, clean the surfaces real good.
I really did.
Go ahead and throw a straight edge on there just to make sure it's not completely out of whack,
And
right?
I did.
And then bolt it all down and torque it down, and it'll probably run for a long time.
That's what I think.
So
It'll definitely run better than it was, considering how it was absolutely blasted between
Right.
cylinder 1 and 3, blasted out of the front of cylinder 1, and it blasted out of the top of cylinder 1. So
Right.
basically, when I pulled it, there was a whole corner that was just fell off, and then I was looking at it, I was like, this thing was basically running on 4 cylinders.
Yeah.
So,
Damn.
but I learned a lot about like basically roughness, surface roughness ratings, and what the tolerances are, like in bimetal engines and
What is that scale?
RA,
Yeah, what does that stand for?
roughness
Agriculture.
acumen or something. I have no idea. I just remember it's RA. It's measured. RA is a unit of roughness, which is pretty crazy. There's units for everything.
Pretty rad.
Which makes me want to think. I'm like, is there? Oh, God dang it! Is there like a metric unit of roughness and like an imperial unit of roughness?
Think about they have what is it, Mitoyoto, or there's one of the companies that makes badass like micrometers and calipers and stuff like that. They have like digital gauges for roughness.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's
preset.
cool.
Really?
I wonder what those
They're
go
very
for.
expensive.
You know,
That's
They're
got to be
super
a few grand
expensive.
for a little tiny
right?
micrometer.
I mean, a good pair of calipers is what, $300, something like that.
Yeah,
Easy.
So that's the trick. Design some device that can measure some arbitrary number on something and sell the device for thousands of dollars
Yeah.
because it's precision.
Brilliant.
So how rough is this?
As
Well,
long as
this
everybody
machine will
uses,
tell
it-
you.
as long as everyone uses the same one, you're getting.
Well, that's
like
the thing,
everyone's
right?
gonna get the same, like different results. You know,
You got to get
it's
the
gonna
industry.
be
You got to
accurate.
make your tool the industry standard.
it's a good way to go.
patent it.
But
Well-
so to figure out if I needed to resurface these, I had to research a lot of stuff, and cast iron heads, and especially heads older than basically anything that doesn't use an MLS gasket, which is, if I'm not wrong, a multi-layered surface, multi-layered steel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, multi-layered steel.
This
The
kid.
the
Getting down with
tolerances,
your bad self.
Ah,
Thanks.
buddy.
the tolerances on those are a lot higher. So, higher, right? Smaller is the word I'm looking for.
Smaller
Higher
is-
tolerance,
small-
smaller
small-
gasket.
Yeah. So it just needs to be smoother. It needs to be like almost a mirror.
Right.
Mirror deck, mirror surface.
But you got yourself standard Felpro head gasket,
so,
right?
but with an old cast iron block, and this is why, like, I don't know, I'm a big proponent of owning vehicles that are, OBD2 and before.
You mean OBD1?
OBD1. I know I like OBD2,
Well,
but
that's current.
that's current. I guess then I have to put
So
a
you
year
want
mark on
97
it.
and older.
2000. I think 2000 is where I put my cutoff on
Yeah.
lots of things.
Yeah.
I don't think anything worth it was made
Yeah.
after 2000, except for some Chevy engines, but those still absolutely tear up the lower intake gasket on all I guess what post GMT 400 truck engines just eats itself alive.
So the funny thing too is, like, I've heard you say that 1,000 different times, and I think it depends on the situation, because there's so many of those trucks that you see. I worked at a car wash, and there was a dude that came in old ass. It was like, I'm saying old, but it was a 90s, old body style Chevy, and I was talking to the dude, and I got in it to drive it around to the back where they actually wash it, and I was like, dude, this thing's got like 400,000 miles on it, and that was like, this was like way back before I really got into cars. And I was like, dude, how do you have 400,000 miles on this? He goes, dude, I got a place in Montana. Like, I drive back and forth all the time. And, I've gone through a couple transmissions, but, I mean, I just had the engine rebuilt after 400 or, like, couple 100,000 miles. And it was, Jesus, dude, that's insane, but.
Well, it's the Dexcool that they use. So Dexcool, GM's own antifreeze. It has to be either use you can't use both. You can't mix them, never mix them. So what happens is Dexcool specifically, if I recall correctly, if any type of oxidization gets in the system, it starts to deteriorate gaskets.
Really?
Yeah. So if you ever get a bubble in your system and then it travels all the way in there, like Dexcool is not good. And then especially Dexcool mixed with the green standard, it creates a gummy weirdness. So that's not good either. So if you always have run, if you bought the truck and literally have only run Dexcool since day one, you're like golden. You're totally fine. But it's just people aren't. I mean, I had my buddy borrow one of my old Chevys, and he drove it for a little while, and it said it was low on coolant, and he was like, "Oh, like I'll do him a favor and like buy some coolant and throw it in there." And he told me, and I was just like, "Oh no!" And so we immediately, like that week, had to do a flush and fill on the whole system. But
You also have to run distilled water.
So it doesn't have any
So
minerals
if you're
of
not
some
buying the
sorts.
premix 50/50, you have to run distilled. Otherwise, you're going to get hard minerals in your engine. And then also, if this is not a new thing, so I have a Spitfire, right? So old British cars, if you're running their original components like master cylinders, brake master cylinders, all the O-rings inside of those are made out of organic rubber, like legit old school organic rubber. And if you use anything other than, like we use Castrol GT LMA hydraulic fluid, and it was because it was safe on organic rubber. So yeah, if you put .3 brake fluid in or anything random, then it just melts the O-rings inside the master cylinders, and then no stoppy,
oh, sweet,
crashy.
it's great.
No stopping.
Would you recommend doing that right before a track day?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
that way you're guaranteed no brakes. If you do it in the middle of the track day, you might make it through.
It really kind of slows you down.
If you touch your brakes less, you'll go faster.
That's true.
Tell me I'm wrong.
How big of brakes
I
do
don't
drag
believe it.
cars have?
A parachute,
That's it.
I believe so. They might. I don't think they have brakes, do they? I don't know. I'm not
Maybe
a
they
dragster
have-
guy.
valid
maybe they have,
question.
like,
I just
I'm not a
came up
dragster
with
guy.
a
Maybe
good-
they have like. Sorry, I'm just trying to be Jake Russo and interrupt everybody. You're
They
literally
clearly
the biggest
have a
piece
brake,
of
right?
shit I've
Because
ever
they-
I
met.
did not
They
interrupt
clearly-
a single
Piece
thing
of
just
shit.
now.
They clearly
Yeah.
have a brake, right?
Of some
because they
sort.
need to go up to the line and stop and drive it there, right? There's some sort of brake.
I wonder
That could
if
be a levered line lock thing that just gets to them there.
Oh,
I don't know, but I don't believe they have a conventional. I mean, maybe they do. I'm talking out of my ass. I have no
we don't
fucking
know
clue.
anything about drag cars.
Wouldn't they have to? Because they rev it up like.
Well, they got a line lock on the front, right? So that they can do a burnout and warm up their tires, right?
So they have to
Yeah.
have front
When
brakes.
you have
of some
9,000 horsepower, do you even need brakes? Right? Can you do a burnout without moving with no
Well,
brakes?
sort. Technically.
It's the Twilight Zone theme.
Fucking
Welcome to the Twilight
Clearly,
Zone.
we
Yeah.
need to buff up on our drag racing shit.
We probably sound like such idiots to some people.
Some
right
drag
now.
racer out there is going, "You guys are dumb."
I'm like, oh,
A
sorry.
parachute's gonna slow me down
That's
from
true,
300
but-
miles an hour.
I
But
have
you know
fallen
what's-
on my head a lot.
You know
so-
what's more dumb?
What's more dumb?
Spending $50,000 on an engine to run for like literally 9 seconds.
Grenading it.
But have
going,
you
"I
seen
was
how-
the
Yeah.
fastest?
How fast they take those things apart?
I have not.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Dude, it is unbelievable. Like, literally, what would you say? Within 5 minutes, they could have that thing broken down?
Sure, but that's like 7 guys.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, it's still kind of crazy.
They can't do that with this engine.
No, definitely not. I mean, they're definitely designed to come
You
out.
can't change a spark plugs in fucking 2
Yeah. So
hours. in
talking
this engine.
of problems, right? So James is messing with these head gaskets. We've got this Defender in here with this new Gen 5 in it, LT1, and we're trying to, it comes from the manufacturer of the engine, just turnkey, ready to go. And so we get it, put it all in, and it doesn't do shit, man.
It cranks.
It cranks over and won't fire. So I don't know. I'm a little bit bummed about that. We spent a lot of time double check and triple checking for problems, and there's no problems on our end. So now we have to wait. We got to ship it up to the manufacturer and let them deal with it. But it's always, when you're building a car, it's always nice to the day where you fire up the car and it's like, yeah, it runs. And you're like, you get a little bit of, it builds the energy up, right? You get a little more steam going. And you're like, yeah, we're going to finish this project.
Yeah,
you get a little excited.
Last little bit, man.
And it pushes you to the end. And when it doesn't start and it's like, wah, wah, wah.
So you're saying that we're pretty much on the cusp right now.
We were cusping for sure.
Yeah. But
Yeah, right on the edge, you might say.
That's probably like, I would say the greatest moment of it. Like that's pretty much why you do whatever you are doing.
You're going to start it and drive around the parking lot.
Engine swap or whatever it may be.
Me personally, I love working on badass cars that I'll never get to drive. Like it's literally when it gets to start up and go to a new home, and I'll never get to sit in it and drive it. Like that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Go on though. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I love my 1997 Explorer.
Loving it.
Sick.
Dave was there the last day, the final day that I got my car on the road, and it was one of those things like car show was the next day, time to get this thing done. Like that is the deadline. And we had the transmission out of the thing. We were figuring out like why the clutch wouldn't pump. Without a clutch system, you're just not going anywhere. It could start all at once. We had a electrical issue. We had to wire fans. We had the transmission out of it, like trying to the slave cylinder we thought was bad because it was just a used slave cylinder. Finally, like put it all back together, and I already had the exhaust built, like had everything ready to go. It was just finishing up like a couple little things. And I think that was like a 14-hour day that like nonstop.
And then out front, like it was dark. We're out front.
Yeah.
And what happened? It was overheated.
It overheated like right off the bat because the the fan relay wasn't plugged in all the way or something. And the thing got up to like 240, and we were like manually clicking the fans on with the motor off, getting it to like just pump whatever was in the radiator, get that to like cool down. And then we cranked the engine a little bit to get the water pump to cycle some new coolant into the radiator, do it again, like cycled that like 5 or 6 times, finally got the temp down to like 220 maybe.
And then remember you asked me, you're like, so I don't know what it was, like 9 o'clock at night or something. You're like, so do I drive this home right now?
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was
yeah.
Like,
dude,
I drive it home. And I remember we finally like pulled it out of the shop, and the belt was squeaking, and just it was like obnoxious squeak. And pulling out of the shop, and Dave's just sitting there like all fucking smiles, taking video of it. And then I went around the building to go like take it around the block, and I was like, wait, David just busted his ass with me. Like I gotta go pick him up, like pulled right around back, David, get in, left all the shop open, like who even cares? And we both get in and just started driving down the street, and it was just the most bizarre feeling. You're sitting in this car that you've daily driven for the last like 2 years, and all of a sudden it's got this whole new sound to it. You hit the gas pedal a little bit, it goes that little bit more, and I never even got on it fully. It was like,
of course,
you still haven't got on.
You still don't get on it.
But I was like walking on.
You're
eggshells,
literally the
dude.
worst.
Yeah, you are.
I was just straight walking on eggshells, and we're just doing like laps around the street, and it was just the most bizarre feeling, though. And like that after everything, all the heartache, almost cutting body parts off with a freaking angle grinder, like all the stuff that goes into it. That one time is like that's all that matters, Drove to the car show the next day.
Beautiful.
Had pretty much no issues. I think I put like 200 miles on it the first weekend, like the next day after that,
Yeah, that's a good feeling. So, yeah, it is disappointing that we're not. I think the problem is just the ECU's got the wrong flash in it. So they're just going to have to reflash the ECU. Whatever. We'll get to hear it run eventually. But
I just want to let you guys know that the day that 1UZ starts up in the MR2,
that's going to be glorious.
When I drive it, the first thing I'm going to do is attempt to break it.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's it.
All right. Yeah.
I'm not playing this whole
drive it.
So I'm going to drive the piss out of it.
But see, that's not your only car.
You're,
like that.
All
that
your
kinda
excuses
came
are
with-
dumb, and you're dumb.
This is why I have
yeah.
multiple cars,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Because what if you break one?
I did buy a truck.
You have one pair of shoes? No. What if,
No.
I have more than one shirt? What if one gets a hole in it?
No.
Exactly.
I could have another shirt just in case.
That's why
We moved the shop around a little bit. I know it's not something that you can see out there, but
Oh my
Jake
gosh.
and I
it
spent
looks so good.
we spent like 3 days rearranging the shop for a little better workflow. And it's hard to take. Well, let's see. We've got 1,200 square feet out here because the rest of it's office and bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So, like 1,200 square feet, that's nothing, you guys, right? And we're trying to get 5 to 6 cars in here at a time.
And still be able to work on
and
them.
still be able to work on them. So 1,200 square feet, 6 cars. I think we can do it at this point.
I think we could actually fit 6 cars in here now, and then if we cleared out underneath the other rack, we could probably fit 7 if it was a Spitfire or something small.
Right, if it was a small car, yeah. Yeah, so hopefully we get a little better workflow, get more cars through here, be able to talk about more things. Maybe get the MR2 in here so that can be being worked on.
That'd be cool.
You know, like
Sweet.
you said Spitfire under that rack, but an MR2 would fit into there real nice.
Oh, absolutely. I
good.
just meant size-wise. I mean,
Real nice.
yeah.
Because that
So-
thing needs to be worked on. I mean, even if it's just a little
Once this truck sells, I've got a line on a transmission right now, one of the good ones.
bit. Yeah.
JDM, LSD, beefy synchros, all the good stuff. So
Yeah, and if you guys, I know we've talked about this a lot, but you should definitely go to our YouTube page and watch the projects side. There's an MR2 project video up there, and it'll give you an idea of what we're after and see what we're going to do next.
oh yeah,
Maybe we should do like an actual because obviously that video was kind of dark because we picked that thing up at night. But maybe we should do
Yeah.
like a little walk around video.
I mean, I think when we get the tranny,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
the
that's probably a good
transmission.
idea.
We got the engine set out. We can do a video of all of the stuff. And
because
how it's gonna go.
we were gonna pull a junkyard tranny, and then once you look at it, you're like, ugh, if we just drop the extra $300, we can go get the really nice one if you find one for a deal. And I did, so we're doing that because
Sick.
we build things once in the right way.
That's right.
That's
because
right.
building things twice in the wrong way means you have to build them 3 more times. So that means that you've built it 5 times. Math.
Math.
Yeah.
Math's hard.
Yeah, math.
Just so you know. Oh, God.
Speaking of math, you still doing school and such? What do you
I am. So right now,
proctology still or
yeah, it's still proctology.
Good.
We're to the glove part, the glove snap. I guess that's a really important part of proctology is just snapping the glove, ensuring that people know what's going to happen next.
right?
But we'll see how this next week goes.
Now, I'm just curious. In class, do you have to find your own prostate or somebody else's?
Oh no, it's the teacher uses each one of the students. Like it's
Got
it's legit.
Got it. Cool. All right. As Jake's going to school, and I just want to make sure everybody knows he's trying to get educated, and that's
No,
good.
I'm
Stay in
learning,
school.
and there's nothing like learning. So
Don't be a fool. Stay in school.
stay in school.
It's good. It's like reassuring for the people that want to do business with us and have their cars built. Like they need to see that the guy in here can snap
Can
a
stick his
glove
hand in
and-
an ass.
Yeah, and do all the good things. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's business. I'm going to school for business. Just like every other asshole who doesn't want to actually dedicate their life to school. Because that just takes away.
I don't know what I
want
want to do. I'll get a degree in business.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna be alive, I'm gonna be involved in a business.
You could just
so-
get like a liberal arts degree.
Or
I was
communi-
thinking more like psychology or sociology or.
My wife has a degree in psychology.
Oh,
Weird.
isn't that
Wow.
coincidental?
Communications.
That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
she gets me to do things I don't want to do.
Every NFL
Wait.
player out there,
I thought that was
communications.
because she was your wife.
Well, yeah, that is because she's the boss.
Because she knows. She knows what you're doing. She knows what you're thinking. She's a psychologist.
He's thinking David thoughts.
Shelly
Yes.
is one with David.
Shall it- David,
If you were to hang out in David's brain all day, it would go, David, I am David.
There was an episode of
For
Malcolm
hours
in the
and
middle.
hours and hours.
Episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Dewey's sitting there and the mom's yelling at him and he's just sitting there going Dewey, 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 Dewey.
It would go David, and somebody asks him a question, and he goes, "You don't know. You're not David."
David, we talk a lot about our own projects, Well, kind of. What about you? What is your next project? What do you want to do? What is your next thing that
God,
you're going to
yeah,
waste
David.
time on?
Are you just so vicariously living through us?
No, he's
That-
actually just so
No,
he's
I'm,
he's
you
old
say
enough.
vicariously living through you guys.
Yeah.
I think of it more vicariously dying through you guys.
one,
Oh,
one day
got it.
closer.
Every day you guys get me one day closer.
You're
Yep.
welcome.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Nothing like being the old guy.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, I haven't seen David spend money on something stupid in a while.
Yeah, well, he
That's
just
been
bought
a while.
he just bought a bunch of shit bags, so
It's true, I did.
You bought shit bags?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were going to the Rubicon Trail in July, and I had to buy a little portable toilet, and you have to buy the shit bags that go with it.
Oh, the Groover.
This dude has to drive around with bags of my shit in his car.
David?
Yeah.
We can't leave them on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're supposed to make the green thumb take them.
We're gonna zip tie 'em to the frame and hang them underneath the Jeep like little trophies.
Nice.
We're gonna try to hit
You
all
just
that.
hear
is
smack.
50
Oh
points.
no, it smells.
Wait, who's the greenest trailsman?
I don't know who.
Brian probably.
Probably. You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
I think then it's 100. I mean, this is an old raft guide tradition. Like
Yeah.
Green Thumb takes the groover.
So
Really?
Oh, 100.
Well, they already voted that I have to carry it because I was late to the last meeting.
Oh, that's
Well,
not
no,
how.
I don't have to carry the poop. I have to carry the shitter.
It's interesting how the guy who carries all the tools and does all the work is the one who gets voted into doing things.
Well, I was late to the meeting. I'll give him that.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Oh.
I
If
was
they
late.
said you have to carry the toilet,
I'm just got to carry the toilet.
okay, well then that's hilarious because you can carry the toilet, but somebody else has to carry the groover. Isn't necessarily the toilet.
No, it's the guy carrying the bags, right?
The groover is actually a groover on an old raft or on any raft is, well, a real one is basically this. It's about like I don't know 3x5, 3x4. It's a rectangle in the back of a raft. You sit on top of it. You have oars on each side. It kind of looks like a normal oarsman's platform.
But there's a little hole in it, huh?
But the secret is, it's full of poop. And guess what? It's your job to row all that poop down the river.
And so you're saying green, like you're talking about the newest guy,
The newest guy usually gets the. I mean,
Marty.
Oh.
Wow.
yeah.
Marty, I
So-
know you listen to the podcast too, brother. I'm sorry, but this is old tradition. We can't break it.
Yeah, that's rough.
You got your Jeep last. You're
So
the newest guy.
yeah, that's the thing because you can't go off of like the passenger that is the newest at like going on the trails. It's
No.
got to be
what's
the dude
what's
that
the
got
heart of a vehicle?
The heart,
Yeah,
the engine, right?
the engine. So who has the newest engine?
The newest engine. Would
Yeah.
be Ken.
Ken has the newest engine.
It's the
so
oldest,
right,
but
yeah.
it's freshly rebuilt. so
Ken's
it's the
got to
newest
carry
engine.
the
It's the greenest engine. That's funny. No,
no,
I would say whoever
No.
whoever hasn't been on trails, whoever's done the most trails is the vet. Who's ever done the least trails. So Marty might not be. If Marty has done more trails than Brian.
No, he hasn't.
Okay, well then
What about this guy?
I
we've
feel
never
really bad
met
about
yet?
this
Does
right
he
now.
get to carry our poop?
Keith?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we want the guy who's cooking our food carrying our poop?
no,
Debatable.
No.
no,
No.
That's definitely
I only
not.
How did we
it.
digress here? What was I talking about?
I don't know.
Well,
Your
we're
next
talking about
projects
pooping.
are
We're
obviously
talking about
shit.
poop now.
You were talking about next projects. but
Your
then-
next project. What are the next
Yeah.
things that you want to spend money on? What do you want to do? You know?
Oh, spending money. That's what
That
happened.
spiraled so quick.
He said I spent money on a shitter. That's
Nice.
why we went down this road. No, I mean, literally the next project, my own personal project that I want to get done is that Willie's. Well, it's because I'm so busy working on all these projects. The shop is slammed. We got so many projects going on. I don't want my customers to suffer, so I don't work on my own project.
That is true. We had to
That's
cut.
also a father-son project too.
Yeah, and Cole needs to get more motivated and be in here, and he said he would this summer. So this summer we're going to try to block out 1 or 2 days a week where he comes with me to the shop. And,
1 or 2,
yeah, dude, he's 13,
3.
man.
well,
3.
Dude,
I didn't do
talking like
anything when I was 13. Let's be honest.
if he doesn't follow through, then I'll work with you, Dad.
Okay. Well, I did tell him that if he doesn't help me finish it and I just go ahead and do it myself, then it's going to be mine. So,
and he'll have to buy it from you if he wants it.
right. Or if Micah wants to help me with it, then it's Micah's.
Ooh, I think I've seen Micah work on it more than Cole has.
Yeah, nobody wants their younger brother to snatch a vehicle out from under him.
I think that'd
That's-
be rad.
I could definitely see that happening too.
I could too. Just to spite him. Not even because he wants it, just to spite him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's
totally.
very cool.
Cutthroat.
It's super cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad we can see the back of it now. We moved the shop around. Now we can see it from the back. That's going to
Oh.
be rad.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
Maybe we should fix that back window.
Bigger tires.
Nah.
Do you think?
37s.
I don't know, man. I like the
What are
tires.
those?
a lot.
Those are
There's a set of
33s.
projects for sale, which is right now 6 rims, 6 tires, 37s.
For sale?
Really?
Yeah.
With
Where?
that bolt pattern?
85% tread projects, Baja TAs,
What size?
37s,
No, what's the other sizes?
Rims.
1250, 17.
Oh, I need 16s.
Yeah, me too.
I do too.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, I need to find a way to fit 35s under a Chevy with no lift. I want stuffed.
There's a Sawzall.
I want stuffed 35s that don't rub.
Dude, you have a GM. You have a 14 bolt.
I know.
It's cool. So do you know why the 14 bolt's so badass?
Because there's 2 extra bolts in it.
Done, son. David.
Duh.
Gotcha.
Tell me why. And I'll tell you if you're
because
right.
it's fucking huge.
That's what
So
she
big
said.
that unless you run 37s, you're pretty much guaranteed to hang it up on everything. And B, because I guess it has like another support. So the pinion, usually it's only supported by the bearing that's like coming towards where the drive shaft input is,
Aft.
right?
Mhm.
Shh. So there's actually another bearing. There's a support that goes on the end of the pinion. So it's supported on two sides.
Really?
So that's pretty neat.
There you go.
Which
Dropping some knowledge.
Which prevents any sort of deflection. So if you're high torque, you got 37s, 35s, you're jammed up on some rocks, right? And you start to put the pedal to the metal with, you have an Atlas 4-to-1 or whatever it is that you have. The pinion, technically, depending on how strong everything is, and if you really piss it off, can start to actually force itself away from the ring gear, and then that's just a recipe for disaster. So the second support that's on the end of the pinion, that actually keeps it from deflecting and then keeps all your torque going into the ring gear, spinning your wheels.
So in the real world, we call that what's the next weakest link? U-joints, drive shafts. That's what you're going to break instead, which is a much better thing because you can have a spare drive shaft with you and throw it in there.
Herd members are really difficult to fuck with on the trail.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a Toyota
Dropout.
or a Ford 9-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropouts are cool.
Yeah, the Willys has dropouts because it's got the Toyota chassis on it.
Burfield.
Oh, and Burfield joints.
Yeah.
Burfields are great.
Yeah, that thing's gonna be rad when it's
That thing's
done,
gonna be
man.
awesome.
I just
super
hope people
capable.
see it and go, wait, hold on. This isn't what it actually is. Like, there's something else going on here.
Well, what I like about it is that you can go see a lot of the people do the Willys wagons. I've seen them all over the place. Guys will use S10 chassis or S10 Blazer chassis, or I've seen one had a Jeep, but not a like a newer Jeep, right? Like mine, like an LJ, which is pretty rad. Then you get all the modern suspensions. That's originally what we wanted to do with that one. But I do like that we chose to put the FJ5500 because it's going to give it that feel, right? Almost like that tractor feel, and
Yeah.
it's got the inline six,
If it drives like shit, you might as well want it to feel like shit, too.
right? I mean,
Or gas mileage, all
Yeah,
that.
it's
Everything
fucking
just
stiff.
loaded up.
dude, I'm a big proponent of driving as an experience, right? And I want
You don't want it to
my
be
kids
good.
to drive things and experience things, right? I mean, when I started driving cars, it was,
Oh, he's going to experience fouled plugs.
yes,
He's going to experience never being able to go to Big Bear.
he's going to
gonna be
experience
rad.
vapor lock. He's going to
Yeah.
experience all these rad things.
But honestly, it is
That's what I'm
one of the
saying.
best teaching moments that you can have is, Dad, I'm stuck here at school. My car won't start.
Well, fix
Well,
it.
What? You got fuel, air, spark, man. Like, what
Yep.
else? What else is there?
I felt so dejected the other day when I had to get my truck towed home from
Big
Vista.
word.
It's all right. It happens to the best of us.
I was like, I really wanted to fix it and figure out a way to get it back of its own, under
Were
its own
you-
power.
Were you off of Foothill and like
Yeah.
Buena Creek?
Yeah.
Right? I knew it. I knew it just by the way like at Mrs. Taco area.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I
You
could
saw
see.
him there, and you just decided to drive on by, didn't you?
And you just drove by me.
No, I went there like a couple days later, and I was like, "Wow, this brick looks oddly familiar."
Mm,
Looks like a picture somebody showed me.
yeah.
Jake just saw him. That's James. I hope he doesn't see me. I'm going to keep driving.
What an asshole!
Turning out Find My Friends right now.
Shut the fuck up. He doesn't know what happened. So.
Yeah, it's a good feeling when you can fix whatever's wrong and you don't have to get your car towed home.
Dude,
It
but
really just makes you feel better than everyone else.
Right? I
mean,
agree.
Yeah. At the same time, though, there's a point where it's like, this is stupid. Why am I fixing this on the side of the road
It's
instead
pure
of having
pride.
it?
It's pure
Yeah,
pride and
pure
ego.
pride.
And you're just
Pure
like, wow, I'm
pride.
an idiot.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm
you
an
guys,
idiot.
I don't know, man. I had those days, but now, like today, if I break down, I'm not even going to get it out of my Jeep. I just hit the little AAA app button, bloop, and then it brings up, what do you need? I hit send a truck, bloop.
Flatbed,
A few minutes
please.
later, guy rolls up, puts it on. We ride in his air-conditioned cab back to the shop.
And then
I'm
you
over it,
still
man.
have to work on it.
I still got to work on it, but I don't got to work on it to the side of the damn road.
And that's true.
Yeah. Dude, we had my mom's truck break down, and that could have definitely. I was literally an hour away from here. Could have easily had it towed back. No big deal. But no, what did we decide to do? We decided to change every single or trans cooler line on the whole truck because it was just oozing transmission fluid everywhere.
And it was the
I
pan,
supposed
wasn't
to
it?
I forgot to bring that up to you. Continue.
No, it was the actual lines. Like one of
wow.
the lines had a cut in it,
Wow.
and it all of a sudden ruptured. I was towing a boat, and
And if you've been towing a vehicle on a freeway for an hour before you break down, the transmission fluid gets real cool real fast. It doesn't stay like blistering hot for hours or
yeah,
anything.
no.
Yeah.
Luckily, it
We
was like a
experienced
2500
that.
and barely even working to tow that thing. But
I think David's being facetious.
I literally took like probably 3 showers
Nice, and you were still
just
dirty?
trying to get the trans fluid out of my hair,
Heck
out of my
yeah.
skin, dude. Like you just feel so oily, and I just remember driving out to the lake, just like, why did we do that? Like, why? But it was rewarding, dude. We literally drove all the way out from where were we? Like Lake Paris. Broke down Lake Paris, which is about an hour out of here, maybe a little bit less, and drove all the way from there to Havasu, like nonstop. That thing just kept chugging, and we just kept looking at the trans temp gauge, and that was
And it was good to
you
go.
know? Perfect. So
Right on.
conquered that one.
Anything else? Any other notes, guys?
I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
I'm tired. Life's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our defenders is we're on the cusp, and I mean that literally. Like, we have an interior to put together. There's like probably 3 full days worth of work left. We've been working on this thing. David's been working on this thing for 3 fucking years. It's been in and out of here for 2,
I was
and I've
young
seen it.
when I started.
Okay, it hasn't been 3 years
I had
either.
hair.
It's been like what?
No,
It's
this
absolutely been 3 years. So since this came in
Oh,
the first
since the
time,
first time it
yeah,
came in.
when he
Yeah.
did the initial wiring,
And it's
versus
crazy.
where I've actually destroyed all the initial wiring. So
Yeah, this is an evolution project.
It's been 3 years, and you guys have only gotten it in the last, 8 months? 6 months?
No.
no.
so we
How long have you guys had it here?
Yeah, maybe it's how long? It's only been like
well
four
when
or
I
5
came
months?
back in December and you had just gotten it.
Right. So I had it a month before you got back.
So that's 6 months.
So we're 6 months. Yeah. Okay.
So
6 months to completely.
it's been worked on for 6 years, and
No,
in
6 months.
Sorry, it's been worked on for 3 years, and in 6 months, you guys have taken it from wherever it was to finished.
Frame
Correct.
off to powder coat, everything else to powder
Yeah,
coat.
Crazy.
yeah.
I've never completely disassembled a car like this, like as in like taking the third members out, the axles out, taking every fucking bolt, other than separating the transfer case, trans, and engine. I've never done that personally, but
We did it on this
we
one for
fucking
you.
did it on this one, and man, that's a lot of pieces and parts, and you just don't understand because when you start to put a vehicle back together, you realize like, man, do I really want to use this shitty like rusty old bolt, or do I want to make it new again? Like, when you look at it from a small perspective, you're like, it's just one bolt. I'll do that. I'll swap. Oh, it's just one bolt. But then how many bolts have we touched on this thing?
Everyone.
5,000 that
So-
we just put in.
Well,
and some
yeah,
of
and
these
then
are
you- and you-
F911 that are $10 a pop. So
Well, then you walk over to the bolt bin because you say, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna put a fresh bolt in here because this is a brand new." Well, you don't have that bolt,
no.
right? So you gotta go buy that bolt. So then you get a box of 10 or whatever, right? And then you go on to the next bolt. Oh, we don't have that bolt either.
So you either spend $2 or $10. So
just-
one bolt,
yeah.
or you buy 50 bolts. So you're like, well, shit, I
just
might as well
never,
buy 50.
No bolt bin ever has every single piece of hardware
No.
you need. So hardware is an interesting thing when you're restoring a car. People tell people all the time when they want to restore a car, it's 1,000 hours
It's
for me to
1,000
restore
hours,
your
man.
car correctly, and that's me touching and either replacing or restoring every
And
single piece of
everything
your
else
car.
is anything less than 1,000 hours.
compromise.
It's a compromise,
so
man.
you have to
Like,
realize that.
and some people will say, no, it's not 1,000 hours. It's only this much. It's only that much. But in reality, it's like if you want to break down every single thing, because a restoration is exactly that.
Everything has to be touched.
Everything is done. This isn't like a little soup up. This isn't a little cleanup. We're trying to do the entire thing here. So
It takes time
it's
and money.
expensive. It's expensive. But you know what? If you do it right and you can actually look in there, like I look at my car that's 19, 22 years old, and I'm like, oh man, the frame's kind of rusty right there. Actually, I looked at that Explorer that we talked about in the King of the Hammers video, and I'm like, even his frame was repainted. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, it might be rattle can, it might be whatever, but I'm like, this guy, because it's not like there's spray marks are all over the place. So did they pull it apart and paint the frame? Like
Yeah.
that's badass. Like just the little details really make a build come together, though.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, if one day those guys decided, hey, you know what? We're going to take this frame off. We're going to finish welding this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to add this to it. And they went at it that aspect and said, one day we're just going to decide to take on the, whatever it is, 100-hour process to unbolt this body from the frame and do that. It's like, dude, that takes so much work.
I was thinking about doing a roll cage in the Explorer, and I'm just like,
Why?
wow. Well, because it'd be nice for, it's still it's a C-channel frame, so I don't want the frame flexing all over the place, and it doesn't really have that many cross members, and I'm going to cut 2 of them out of it in the front when I do the whole solid axle swap. So I'm like, if it's the stiffer I can get it, the better.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, man, you got to pull every interior panel out of that thing so you don't burn them, while you're welding, and then you got to paint it somehow, and then you got to mount it somehow, and then you got to get all that shit back in there somehow, and it's just like, that's really cool, but that sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Especially to make a functional cage in a vehicle that's a daily driver where you can still put your seat back or do whatever and still have it be a safe, like, well-built cage. A lot of that shit just doesn't mix.
Well, and that's, we were talking about this the other day where it's like to follow through with the project and put 100% effort into it, like, the whole time. You know what I mean?
It sucks.
Because there's areas where you go, dude, nobody's ever going to see this. Like, why am I, but at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, you know that you didn't do that way. And even though
you little alligator clip
you
butt
were
connectors somewhere.
You were a little bit bummed out that day, or you were a little bit tired because you did this, or whatever it is. It's like, you know what? Put in the extra 10 minutes. Put in the extra 20 minutes. Whatever it is.
It's better than doing it twice. And if you actually are as anal about how, like, cool your project is, you're gonna redo it later. Like, there's 1,000 things that I look at now that I'm like, I'll just add that to my list today because I only did this much last time. So, like
it makes a difference, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to do lately is like, you know what? No, this is a car I'm gonna have for a long ass time. Do the extra bit, like, make that part that much better, and, like, take your time on it. Why not? Replace this hardware if you want to. Go spend the extra time to go, get this to be powder coated or get this refinished in this way,
I mean, remember when I was prepping for TDS, and I have a list of 57,000 things, like, I got to do this, I got to do this.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I didn't get to any of those. I got to, like, a fourth of them, but that was because I really wanted to do the diff right. I really wanted to do this right. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? Even if I go out there without the electric fans or the lights or any of that shit, at least the shit that I did do, I know I can count on it, So.
Yeah.
Well, and there is a priority list. You have things that you go, you know what? I could definitely do this, but is it necessary? Or I could definitely do this, but I don't really need it, but it would be nice to have. So we'll put that on, like, the moderate scale.
Yeah. And I think that's what you got to do. Just got to kind of, organize things in a list of what you need to get done and a list of what you want to get done, and just make sure that they
somehow get done at the same.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but just don't be a dick.
Oh, perfect. All that for
don't be an
conclusion,
idiot.
James, was don't be a dick.
Oh,
don't be a dick.
If you're going to restore your car,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Wonderful.
I feel like that pretty much sums it up.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in and wasting maybe an hour this time of your life.
I think we
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Every listen counts, guys.
Every listen counts.
Every
man.
listen counts.
Tell a friend.
This has been the Bent Motorsports Podcast. Thanks for listening in. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Bent Motorsports. Stay updated on the latest happenings, future projects, videos, events here at the shop. Remember, guys, at Bent Motorsports, bids in stock, we've got it.